Welcome everybody to a wonderful song off of Permanent Waves by Rush, Freewill. This is just such a great, or I should say well-constructed song. Alex uses the D Dorian scale for it, which is very close to the D minor scale, except you take the major, I think it's 6th, a minor 6th, and make it a major 6th. Anyhow, I've got the scale in my notes for you, so if you're interested in that, I made a screenshot of it and put it in my notes in addition to writing out all the parts of the song. So that link is available download right below the video here. So we'll get into the song. Like I said, it starts in D Dorian mode. I've seen it tabbed and taught different ways. Watching Alex live, that's where I get a lot of my stuff. I can just see him playing right here at this, 7th fret. So we're going to start out on the 10th fret of the 3rd string, 10, 9, 7, and we'll do that same thing on the 4th string. Then we'll go to the 5th string and switch it a little bit. We go 10, 8. Back to the 4th string, so it'll be 10, 9, 7. The 5th string we will go to 7, so it'll be 10, 8, 7. And then on the 6th string it will just be 10 to 8. And then we're into the actual, I'm calling this the intro part 2 because this part 2 repeats from here on forward. Alright? The actual riff of the intro does not repeat until the very end, but it doesn't. After the first chorus, we go into the intro part 2 onward until we get to verse 2 and so forth. So I'll explain that a little better when we get to it. Alright, now we're up to the first position. Now this first position, what you're going to do is just kind of loosely form an F, maybe power chord. And he plays part of the chord. You'll hear the first time he strikes, it will be the 6th and 5th string together on the 1st and 3rd fret. Then he moves to single notes. So the single note will be 1 on the 1st fret on the 6th string to 3, 2 open on the 5th, and then back to 3 on the 6th string. Now we're going to repeat that up to the 3 on the 5. Then we move this very first intro part. We'll go 2 open on the 4th string. Then we'll grab 2 on the 5th string, slid into the 3rd fret, and then hit the 3rd. So a lot of numbers there, but I'll go through it very slowly. Alright, so let's go through that very first intro part 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, he's going to start riffing on some chords. Let me speak slightly to what effects I'm using. I'm using a TC Electronics Afterglow. It's got what they call the Bucket Brigade chorusing effect. And I kind of had to look that up because I read that's what Alex used. And it's basically an old style analog circuit. So I'm using this TC Electronics Afterglow. It was like 50 bucks, pretty cheap. And then I'm using I think it's a Donner, just a cheap $20 compression. So the compression really helps, especially with some of the chording he does and these triads and stuff, so they're not so overpowering with the notes, especially when you get into these chords. They can really ring out too much and overpower it, so the compression really helps with that. All right, so we've gone, now we're into the triads. The triads are basically the first three strings. They are the first, second, and third string. We'll be forming an F and sliding that up to a G and then hitting G twice. All right, then we're going to slide that up all the way to the 8th and 9th fret. All right, so that will be a C. Then we move to more of a D form. All right, we're going to hit that triad here. I'm sorry, we do 8 and 9 twice. Then we go once to the 7th and 8th with our D form and move that back a full step to the 7, 8. I'm sorry, 5, 6. And hit that. So we have this to start out with. Alright, that's the first time through. The second time through, we're going to actually hit that F and then hit that G before we move to our, this is actually an F, okay? So we're going to form that F with our D form at the 5th and 6th fret. And then it's twice, and then he hits it again. So we got like 3 hits on this. And then the ending will be our C to this form at 8 and 9. So if that was F, this would be G. All right, so C to G. That ends it. So the second half together slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So both of those together we'll go through one time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the verse, we're into that F lick, if you will. The very first time through in the verse, a little bit different. I'm going to show it to you and then I'll show you what's different. Alright, those last 4 notes, those are different verses. Alright, that very intro part 2 will actually do the second half of this. So the first half we're going to start out just like before, 3, 2 open on 5 from the basic F chord to a F note. Then back to the 3rd fret. Start again, stop at 3 here on the 5th string. Then we move to the 4th string, 2 to open. Then back to the 5th string, 3 to open and 2 on the 4. Alright, so we have this all together slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time through is just like that intro part 2. So that's one measure of verse 1 and verse 2. Now the second measure just switches those. Alright, so we're going to do the slide in and hit the open 3rd string again, which is the first half of the second measure. The last half of this second measure is just like the very first measure, first half. We'll do those extra notes. That leads us into into the pre-chorus. Alright, so you can see how those extra notes really help with that. Gets us into that pre-chorus. Okay, so the first chord in the pre-chorus, we're going to not play the 6th string, we're going to be playing the 5th string 2nd fret, 4th string open, 3rd string 2nd fret, and our pinky on the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, leaving the 1st string open. That's actually a B minor 11th. It's a beautiful chord, and the way he plays it is he plays the 5th, 4th, and 3rd, and then he goes to pluck the 3rd string to 1st and 2nd. So we have this. So you want to kind of let those ring, but again, we're playing the bottom half of the chord before we pick through the lower half. And that picking is consistent throughout this. So we got this B minor 11th. All we do is move down a finger, first finger to the 1st fret of the 5th string. Leave everything else the same. Okay? Then same thing, hit the bottom half of the chord before the 3, 1, 2. Okay? And the next chord from that, the easiest way I found to do it is just leave these 2 fingers here, kind of slide up. We're going to go to the 3rd position. You can bar across all 5 strings here, okay? Actually, you should. Bar across all 5 strings, 3rd fret. Our 3rd and pinky finger will land on the 5th and 6th fret of the 3rd and 2nd string. And same thing, play the top half and then 3, 1, 2. Alright, now just move these fingers into a, that's an F, by the way. Next, we just move into a C. So we're taking these 2 fingers, putting them on, this is really a C sus2 because we're taking out the 3rd and we're moving it to the 3rd fret. I've seen it taught different ways using the 3rd, which is fine, that note is in the key, but listening to this and separating the channels, I really think he's playing the D note, which would be the 2nd string at the 3rd fret, all right? So when we move into this C position, our ring and pinky finger will both be on the 5th fret on the 4th and 3rd string. So our bar just stays here. And we hit that top half to the 3rd string, 1st and 2nd. Then we move back to our B minor 11th and then down to a B flat. I think that's major, or let me look it up. That is a B flat major 7th. All right, so we do that again. All right. Then we move to a D. The D's like strummed 3 times, then we put down a sus, take it off, and do that again. And repeat the whole thing. Then we're into the actual chorus. The chorus is so beautiful. The melody of the chords follow the vocal melody so well, and just a fun song to play. Okay, so this chorus is 4 measures long. I'm going to go through it and you'll see how the 2 measures repeat. All right, so you could see how they stopped and went to a D. That is where we will repeat intro part 2, verse 1, pre-chorus 1, and chorus 1. All right. So, and we don't do the. Okay, for the first chorus, and really all the choruses, what we're going to do is pick through the strings. We'll be adding other notes. So form a D, don't worry about the very first string. And we're going to hit the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. So 4th will be open. Then we're going to add our pinky to the C sharp, or 4th fret of the 5th string. And then pick that, and then the 3rd string and 2nd string. Okay, from there we go to an A. We'll pick the 5th, 4th, and 3rd of this A power chord, and then a B power chord. Then we're going to hit an E power chord. Then we're going to go to an F sharp over D. Now, if you're not sure what an F sharp over D is, we're going to take, again, not worrying about the first string, use your middle and ring finger to form that bottom half of the D. Add that F sharp to it. So we've got, and then an A. Then he adds the 5th fret with an A and an E there, okay? So it just adds more to that A power chord. So it's like a down, up, down strumming. All right, so that first measure of the chorus slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second measure starts out the same with our partial D and then our C sharp over D. Then we hit an open A quickly to a B, and so we hit A on that 5th string open to 5 again, and then this is picking 5, 4, and 3. Back to an A. So we have this so far. Then we move to a G, just a G power chord. We're not going to hit that B note. To our F sharp over D, an A. The A just rests there. You know, we got to give Neil Peart a little room to do a little drum fill. So that's where Neil gets to fill in. So that second measure together slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it repeats. So we do that very first measure again, all right, with the A extended, if we will. And then when we go to the second time, we're going to do it just like that, except when we go from our G to F sharp over D, we will stop there and then come back in with a D, which allows the repeats to come in. All right, so let's take that very last measure slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you'll hear. Again, another verse. This would actually be verse 2, then pre-chorus 2, and then our chorus. You got all of that. Now, when we come out of it, we're going to stop on that F sharp. All right, we're going to go to the G and F sharp over D. And then he starts in with. So there's a different lick that's actually, it's really a bridge taking us into a bass solo and then the guitar solo. Okay, so we've repeated intro part 2. We've repeated verse part 1. We've repeated pre-chorus part 1. We're repeating most of the first chorus, but we're not going to go into the D at the end like I showed you. So I'm going to play that very first measure to drive this point home, and we'll go into the bridge. Alright, so here's the very last measure of the repeated chorus. So after our G to F sharp over D, the second time we repeat the chorus, what we do is slide into the 5th fret, 5th string. We'll hit that again. Then we go to the 4th string, 7, 5, 4. The next lick you'll hear he doesn't slide into. It's simply a 3 on the 5th string twice to 5, 3, 2. Alright, the next 2 licks are slid into. We're going to slide back into 5, this time with our first finger. Because we're using our pinky to stretch up to 8 on the 4th string, back to 5, to 8 on the 5th. Alright, then we slide up to 5 on the 4th string, and we'll go 7, 5 on the 3rd string to 8 on the 4th string. Now we're going to start that intro lick, 10, 7, 9 on the 3rd and 4th string to 8, 10, basically stopping there and then just sliding the 3rd string up to 12. Alright, now we're into the really, really difficult lead. So I've written this out. I got some help from a friend in Portugal. I thought he did this solo very well. He'd actually tabbed it out. I asked him to send me his notes, so I basically redid his notes with the solo, so that should help you because I feel he did it the best. So like I said, my friend from Portugal, who was nice enough to send me his tab, I told him I'd let him know and give him credit. I will put a link to his, it's not really a lesson, it's a playthrough, and you can ask for his tab. So with that said, he was nice enough to let me use it, and I told him I'd give him credit, which I am, and I will also, show you this the way he played it, which I thought was closer than a lot of people taught it, or it's been tabbed. So I got my Strat with humbucker and Floyd Rose. So you don't necessarily need a Floyd Rose. Later years, Alex played this with his Les Paul Axis, which has a Floyd on it, but there's some earlier videos of him playing this on a 335 without a tremolo. So he's just playing the notes. So again, that's fine. The compression, again, will really help here because your 5th harmonic is really kind of quiet compared to, 7th compared to the 5th. And it really brings it up so you can hear it. So it starts out here. So what Alex is doing, he's going to hit this 7th fret on the 3rd string for a harmonic. Then he'll move it to the 5th fret. and pull the bar up slightly, just slightly. You don't want to give it a big yank, it's just slightly. And let it go. And then he plays the open G string. Then we're going to play a G harmonic, 12th fret, open G string, back to harmonic. Okay, after we hit this 5th string harmonic, what we're going to do is hit the open G string. That gives us time to get to the 12th fret and do a 12th fret G harmonic. And we'll do one of each. Open string, harmonic, open string, harmonic. Then he's into the lick. So, you know, again, it's really not 100% necessary. It's just one of those things, if you want to try it, it's kind of fun to mess around with. I had some fun, you know, messing with it, trying to bring it up to speed. And he does a little bit more of that, and we'll get to that. Okay, so for this next lick, which really kind of gets us into the solo, I forgot to mention I added flanger to this, because on top of the chorus and the compression, during the solo, he adds flanger. It just gives it a little more, almost like tremolo picking sound to it. But what we're going to do, the next lick, again, like I said, it's kind of memorable. It'll sound like this. All right, I'll just stop there. So we're going to go up to the 13th fret on the 2nd string, pull off to 12, and then to 10, landing on 12 on the 3rd string, then a quick 10 on the 2nd string back to 12, hammered on. Little vibrato there. Then we go 10, 12, 13 on that 2nd string to 10 on the 1st, and back to 10, 12, 13 on the 2nd, landing on 10 on the 3rd with some vibrato. And again, it's very quick, so I'm not going to play it at speed. I'll just show you this again slowly from the top with the pull-offs. 1, 2, 3, 4. At this point, we're going to do a walk-up. We're going to hit, just like we did, the 2nd string, 10, 12, 13. Then we're going to move up to the 12th position. And we'll hit 13 and then 15 bent and 15 unbent to 13. We'll hit 13 again to 15 bent and 15 unbent. Alright, so it'll sound like this from the walk-up. At that point, we're going to take 13, hammer on to 15, and pull back off to 13. Then we're going to hit 15 on that 2nd string with a bend and release to 13. Ending on 15 on the 1st string. Alright, so again, it's a real memorable lick, and once you play this, get it under your fingers, it will sound like the recording. So we've got from the 10 to 12, 13 walk up. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, we come to the 1st string, 13 hammered onto 15, back off to 13, and then 12, coming back to hit 13. And then 13 on the 2nd string. Then what we do is hit 12, hammered on to 13, back to 12. And then we're going to hit 12 with our whammy bar just slightly pulled up. Oops, it fell out of the way. Then we'll hit 12, hammered on to 14, back off to 12, and then open with the whammy bar pulled up. Then we hammer on to the 4th fret. Slight bar and pull off to open again with a bar. So again, it's really technique and practicing what he does. Now we're into the really, really fast part. So the first measure of this really quick part, I'm just going to do it slow because frankly I can't do it at speed, but my friend in Portugal did, and this is what he wrote out. So we're going to start here at the 17th fret. We'll go 17, 15, and 13. Those are going to be, that's going to be our position. So we hit 17, 15, 13 twice, 17, 15, 13 again. To 17 twice. Then a little walk up, 13, 15, 17 on the second string. Again on the first. Come back 13 to 17. And then 13, 15, 17, second string. And then first string, 13, 15, 17, 15, 13. Now the next measure will come back 17, 15, and then 13, but we're going to change it up. We're going to go to 16. So just move your pinky from 17 to 16 on the third. Then we come to 15, 13, second string. Then a slight shift in positions. You want to get to the 12th position because we're going to go third string, 14 to 12 to 14 on the fourth string. And back to 12, third string, 14, 12, 14, and then slide that down to 10. So we're starting triplets. We're going to end that triplet on 10 on the fifth string. All right. At that point, we switch positions again, and now we're going to do 8, 10, and 12 on the sixth string. We'll do that twice before we do the same notes on the fifth string. Shift positions. Now we're going to be at the 9th position on the 4th string to the 5th string, 10, 12. We'll do that twice. So it's just a walk up that kind of repeats. All right, at that point we go 9, 10, and then 12. All right, and then we switch positions again. We're going to go 12, 14, 15. And I'm sorry, it's 12, 14, back to 12. Then it's 14, 15, 14. And then 15, 17. And then 14, 16, 17. That's on the third string. All right. So let's do from the 8 again. This would be the 1, 2, 1, counting the vibrato bar 8. In the first, let's be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see how that walks up. Again, it's written out if that was confusing to you. But at that point, we're almost to the end of the solo. What we're going to do here, now we're going to move to the second string, 15, 17. We're going to be at the 15th position, all right? So we'll go. And then we hit 18, pulled off to 17, back to 15, and end on 17 on the third string with some vibrato. And then we're back to those chords, but I'll show you that because they're part of the solo. So we're to the chording part of the solo. Whew, got through that fast part. Again, thank you to my friend from Portugal, and we'll go over the next part. Alright, I turned off the flanger because frankly it's driving me nuts. Alright, the next 1, 2, 3, 4 measures use that kind of chording structure that we learned at the intro. The only difference is when he gets to that C, he will hit that 3 times, and then when he moves to the G, that will be 3 times. There's not 2 times through or any other that. So it'll sound like this. Alright, so it's really, again, 3 strikes on that C, and then 3 on the G. And then he goes into each lick. Again, people write it out doing the full first half of it or show you that. If you listen really closely, I don't think he goes back from the G to the F. I really think he sits there for each one of those 3 times. But again, it's your option. So we're going to go through that. And then the lick you will hear, we're going to start off at the 13th fret, 10th position. We're going to hit 13 and then 13 pulled off to 10, first string, coming back to the second string with 13 pulled off to 10. So that first string, 13 and then 13 again pulled off, will be consistent. All right, we're going to do that 3 times. The 4th time he just hits 13 bent and then 13 bent again with vibrato. Alright, the next lick we're going to move all the way up to 17. Alright, we're going to hit the 20th fret of the 2nd string, not bent. 17 and then 20 on the 1st, bent twice. And then 17 unbent to 20 and then 20 bent. We got our lick. And the next lick, it's not too bad. We're going to hit, again, back at the 10th position. We're going to hit 13 bent to catch 10 on the 1st string. And then we hit 13 on the 2nd string, pulled off to 10, back to 13 bent, back to 10 on the 1st string, and then come back to 13 pulled off to 10 with some vibrato. Alright, lick again. And then for this last lick, what we're going to do back at this 10th position, we're going to hit 13 twice and then 13 pulled off to 12 and hit 10. And then hit 13 twice on the 2nd string before we pull off to 12 and 10. And then we hit 12 twice on the 3rd string before we pull off to 10 and slide to 9. So we have this. Alright, at that point, we're going to go to the 4th string. We're going to hit 10 hammered, 12 pulled off to 10 twice. And then the 5th string, same thing, but slid to 8. Then we end it with our lick. 10, 9, 7, 3rd, and 4th string landing on 10, or stopping on 10 on the 5th. Alright, and then we're into the pre-chorus. Now, this pre-chorus I bolded because it's slightly different. When he goes up to the F, which would what we would normally do at the 3rd fret, he's actually going to the F up here. Okay, so this pre-chorus, which leads us into another chorus, and then the break or outro. Like I said, he changes it up, and I watched him live. Sure enough, he does. So it's one of those things, if you're not comfortable doing it, don't worry about it. Just do it the way we originally learned. It's the exact same chords. It's just a little bit higher up. We're going to be at the 8th fret, okay? Doing our F and actual C. Alright, so we start out the same. Then we go up to the 8th fret, bar all the strings. Alright, put your middle and ring finger on the 4th and 3rd at 10. Play the top half just like we have, then the 3rd string, then the 1st at 2nd. Then move that to a C, so this would be a normal C bar chord, and play the top or the bottom half of the chord, then the 3rd, 1st, and 2nd string. Then we're back to how we started. This is the ending part. The second time through in this pre-chorus, he just sticks with the F here at the 3rd fret and the C. So again, watching him live, that's what he does. So it's really up to you. I've written it out. That'll definitely help. But, you know, we're back into this part. You can even add your first finger. He changes it up every time. Watching him live at the different ways he plays this, he'll play that suspended, but occasionally he'll lift up his first finger. It really, play it how you feel. And then we're into the chorus, which takes us out, all right? The end of the chorus, we won't go into a D. We will stop just like we have from the G to the D over F sharp or F sharp. We'll go into the chorus just like we have. There'll be 4 measures. At the 4th measure, when we go from the G to the F sharp over D and stop, we're coming into the break, which is the outro. All right. He will. When they stop, you'll hear Geddy say, "I will choose free will," and then you go into the break outro. So the break for the outro is just like we've learned, and then they go into the intro. All right, all the way up to the 6th string at 8. All right. So let me play the break for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. After that 8th fret, we're going to go to just a G powered chord and let the song fade out. So again, with my notes, I put the Dorian mode in there. I put the D natural minor so you can see the difference between the B and the B flat notes that make up the B note in the Dorian mode versus the B flatted 6th. Or B flat 6th of a D. So that I hope will help you. I really enjoyed this song. Take it with a grain of salt. Alex just jams it out. Honestly, his solos are always a little bit different, but his timing is impeccable, and I hope you guys really enjoy.